you that know me or don't or think you know what I collect, I do collect Bank of England notes, trial specimens, essays, errors, first and last prefixes, branch notes, Bank of England checks, anything with an English banknote on it or a Treasury note, postcards, a Bank of England check collection, Dismal Land notes, which are no longer available. And I think that more or less covers it, except, of course, Skit notes. Now, I've not gone in depth into a talk about Skit notes because we hadn't planned to do anything. And I'm sure many of you are aware that recently one of the biggest collection of Skit notes has been put up for sale by Sir David Kirsch in the Noonan's auction. So I have a few stories about some of the things I collect. I don't necessarily collect what we would call the much older Skit notes that came out in the sort of 1800s, unless it appeals to the area in which I collect. So these are just silly little stories about little things that I collect, like this one, Miss Paris in London. This one, the silly thing about this one is we bought it fairly recently. There's no going about it. We bought it in the Noonan's collection. But I actually thought we already owned it because I had a scan of it and I had forgotten that Bob Blake had loaned me all his Skit note pictures, which actually were the notes that belonged to Sir David Kirsch. So when I said I've already owned that, it was pointed out to me that I didn't. Like a couple of the notes that are in the collection, it's really to promote a theatre. Now, I've only done the fronts of all of these notes because we only scanned some of them recently. So looks like a Treasury, English Treasury first issue 10 bob. So a nice early piece, but Gilbert and Watson Limited. Okay, next one. Now this one, really cute, another Bradbury 10 shilling, and is obviously somebody's child, initials Alan Mobbs, initials AM for Alan Mobbs. And if you look carefully along the top here, I don't know if you can see my arrow, issued by Alan Herbert Mobbs of Chatsworth Avenue, Wembley, for Christmas, 10 kisses. I think that's really quite sweet. Don't have a lot more to say about it. And then one in the style of a second issue Bradbury pound. Again, this one came up fairly recently, Flora Chroma, and here around her head, the popular entertainer, and a nice little sort of engraving of the girl herself. So obviously a singer. So these notes are not legal tender for payment of any old account, merely to remind you in these times it is your duty to be merry and bright. Therefore, come and see Flora Coma. Hear her latest success, the Kaiser's Gramophone. Some girl assigned it. And then in a similar vein, but realistically in the same style, like the 10 shilling of the first one we showed you, Petticoat to Park Lane. Why would I want this one apart from the fact I already had one? I used to work in Petticoat Lane, so it's a real reminder of my old days. Again, it was for a show, and it was Abraham Jacobson who's in the middle there. It's actually a little date on the bottom there. It says London something or other, Feb 9. It looks like it says 15, but I don't think it does. It's maybe 19 something. So I can't read the date anyway. But by some drama instead of some girl. So a 10 shilling is a $20 bill. I really don't know where this has come from. I don't know who John Brougham is, Secretary to the Treasury. Serial number 1234567. Really thought that one out. But interesting, you know, these sorry, gone back. I was trying to expand the pictures. There's these young sort of cherubs and with wings and a little bit of flora and fauna. I don't really know what they're for, but I thought it was quite cute. So now this one, this is a copy of a note, but it's not a real note. The Provincial Bank of Sodor was a fictional island for Thomas the Tank Engine. And it's signed by Topham Hatt. So obviously there's a certain number that were issued. I don't know how many, just a little bit of fun. This type was also sold in Noonan's, but I've owned this one probably about 15 years, and I actually did have about 4 pieces, and I sold them all. One of them I did sell to a collector of Skit notes, and this is Good Wishes for a Happy Christmas, signed by Alexine Thorpe. People often, created things, and I think Alexine Thorpe printed up quite a few of these because, say, we had a few and we sold them. And in actual fact, they also produced a 10 bob for the Christmas of 1924 for 10 million. Greeting notes are legal tender for the period of many ages. So from the United Kingdom of Great Blessings and Joyland. And down the bottom is the slash or the oblique for the 10 shilling is million good wishes. So really thoughtful. In the issue of the style of the 3rd issue Treasury 10 bob. One of my real favourites is this one, an absolutely superb piece, larger size than the actual item. There's such a lot going on in this one. The United Works of London, Harrow and Watford Gronow notes are legal tender for the raiment of a song. And around here it says Albert A.P. Gronow, indeed now, whatever and look you. Signed Never Make Ready, Chief Controller of Works. Actually, on the reverse, it has the whole engraving of Waterloo. So factory. So it's issued as a memento of a great occasion when his friends forgathered to do him honour in 1920. So there's such a lot going on. There's a car that's had a crash, and it's called One Gronow. So it's in the style of the Blue Pound, basically, and it is an amazing piece. It's also got a fireman's helmet on it. So we don't know quite what he did or who he was, but obviously they really must have appreciated him. I've only ever seen one, and this is it. So I'm really pleased to have that because it's Waterloo. So yeah, this one, a large piece, which is really, when things are so large, you tend to think, oh, should I really collect it? But sometimes you buy things you don't really know the size of them. But this one is in the style of the 2nd type Treasury. But Magical Disney, issued by the Magical Digest and to be used only as stage money. And the number serial goes backwards, 8765, but somewhere misses 4 and 3, and then it has 20. Gazinta, the office rabbit, has signed it. So yeah, just a bit of fun. This one again, another favourite of mine. Chris King Club, I've never heard of it, but then of course I wouldn't have done it. This was 1951, and the serial number YT2 Pop 1951. Join the 2 pieces of paper club. Don't forget your badge. Chris King, you take 2 pieces of paper. I mean, I don't know what he did, but obviously it was for fun and pleasure everywhere for everyone. Again, in the style of the Blue Pound, basically, it's almost like on a tracing piece, a tracing paper. Sorry, got wrong note. Sorry, it's on the back. It says souvenir. 2 pieces of paper badges can now be obtained in the camp stores. Yeah, that's quite cool. This one, the Royal Mint of England, £1. They issued them. They had this gentleman's picture in there, and I think there are other denominations. They do turn up from time to time. Personally, I think they're a little bit overpriced, so I'm not unhappy to not own one. But this, the Bank of Middleton, this is to give you the holiday of your life without cares. Middleton Tower Holiday Camp in Morecambe. Now, this one is almost on sort of like a tracing paper. Is very thin, and it's from 1947. Again, in the style of the Blue Pound. There's a ship's funnel, there's a sand castle and a young lady waving. It's got lots going on that make it sort of interesting, and I think they did quite a good job. Sticking with the style of the Blue Pound, the £1, the 7 Dogs pub ration coupon. Hold on a second. Post-war. Lots of pictures of dogs smoking and drinking. Obviously, they did that in the war, you know. Ration coupon post-war, one good meal and a glass of beer, the Seven Dogs pub, good deal. Nedging Hall, Suffolk, England. So I imagine a real place, and they probably produced it for some event. Maybe there was a dog club or something going on. I don't know. No, don't know anything about it. This one has turned up on occasion. I think a quantity turned up many years ago. Bash of England. We've got a box there on the left-hand side. It's a 1 punch, not a £1. Really more in the style of the blue pink pound. KO Popeye. Now, if you're American, you will know that Popeye is only spelt Popeye. It hasn't got 2 P's, but we're English, so we give it an extra P. There you go. Oh, sorry, going back. So this one again, a large size item, the half or 10 shilling Bank of Bunkum signed Nicky Knacks. I don't know, it's just a bit funny. Demands to know who nicked the other half a knicker. And it's obviously based on a bit of a rudeness, a half a knicker being underwear. Dummy money, give me 1 too. It's just a bit.
A pound.
And a knicker, yeah. A knicker would be £1. So half a knicker would be 10 bob. But you would never say half a knicker, you would say a knicker. So a bit weird, but anyway. So this one is absolutely fabulous. For me, it's fabulous. The Bank of Daedalus, Daedalus was a craftsman. That's what it actually refers to. In 1958, the RNAS Leon Solent Air Day, August 9th, 1958, Bank of Daedalus agrees that only 16 ounces make £1. Well, pound shillings, sorry, in weight, 16 ounces do make £1 in weight. Leon Solent, Formation Aerobatics, V Bombers, the last Spitfire and last Swordfish, helicopters, ground exhibition, parachute jumping, RM band. This is a uniface piece. I mean, you got a man there, you got him, he's holding an aeroplane. He's basically, he's Britannia, but round the other way. And it's 1 day to remember, not £1. Just really a cool piece. You look at that and think, wow, I mean, again, not something I've ever seen elsewhere. So not that I know where you would look. Okay, this one, oh no, that's not this one, that's this one. Okay, a scholastic money issued by Butterfly. This is double-sided, and we think it says on the back, it says a £1 note is printed in green. They put the word specimen on it, so nobody's misunderstands that it's a creation. And I think it's to do with a publication. It's called Le Havre Publications Butterfly. I can't read the signature. Just a bit of fun. It's not a perfect condition item, and I really don't know anything else. Just fun. Now this one is fun. This one is Bank of Funland, and I've lost this one. Oh, Bank of Funland. Up for the cup. Oh, you are a one. We used to say things like that. The way you would go. Oh, you are a one. I'm going to shut that now. Signed by You Beat It. It's all to do with gambling. And I believe this was to do with racing. Bank of Funland agrees that only 16 ounces make £1. Interesting. I think I've read that somewhere before. There's a young lady on a cushion, and it's one laugh. Bank of Happiness, and You Beat It is a chief spender. And in between all these small pieces, it's got things like a real Charlie, You Dummy, You Don't Care, Keep 'em Happy, all sorts of things that somebody at a sort of holiday camp might say. But this is Bank of Fanland, flat racing. So again, horses. The ladies become a little bit more dramatic. Flat racing 14-1, promised to prove 16 ounces make £1. I think that's how they felt they could get away with saying it was £1. Bank of Funniness, You Are a Stinker, chief spin. So you get things like quick, have a bev, which is bev, a bevy, a drink, a beverage. Big-headed AP, I don't know what that means. I haven't read them all, but yeah, all to do with gambling. So yeah. This £1 signed by Joseph Henry Dibbs. I don't know who Dibbs was. Oh, Dibbs or Dibbles? It might be Dibbles. Bank of England. Obviously meant to look like a green pound. there doesn't seem to be any reason for it, but it does say to promise to pay the wearer. So I would imagine it might be to do with clothing somewhere. The picture of the person is very indistinct, but a sort of semi-naked male Britannia. And it's one round, so it might be to do with drinks or a boxing bout. They've also managed to perforate it with the word void. So I suppose people, in case people wanted to spend it, followed by another similar one, again, an alternative one, a second type of the same item, basically. But this one is £1, not one round. Maybe by then they thought they could get away with it. Now, from infinity and beyond, this is 1,000 novas, Bank of United Planets. Probably more American style, maybe not really for me, but I thought it was a really cute piece to do with Venus, Earth, the Moon, Mars, for the governors of the Bank of United Planets. Well, we should be united, shouldn't we? Only we could speak with them. Again, in the style of a green pound, but 1,000, but the N for novas. And this is actually a double-sided item. And on the back, there's a spaceship, and there's 1,000 novas all over the back. So, now, this one, Americans will like this one. No, I'm just saying that. Bank of Disneyland. This is a much larger than usual piece, but it is for £1 million. Tommy Steele is on it. I know the name Tommy Steele and Tommy Steele. I don't know Fred McMurray or Greer Garson, and I didn't get a chance to look them up. Obviously, film stars. And it's £1 million worth of happiness viewing Walt Disney's The Happiest Millionaire. So, yeah. And Tommy Steele, I mean, you don't get much happier than that, do you? So, Bank of England. Now, this piece is, is this one here? Oh yeah, this is smaller than the green pound, so it could almost be the size of maybe the luncheon voucher pound, with lots of red lines over it. Bank of England. I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £1 London. It doesn't seem to be any reason for it, and it doesn't seem to advertise anything. The reverse is brown, as if it were a brown 10 shilling with a helmeted head gentleman on the back. So it might have been done for stage money. That's what I'm thinking at the time, maybe. So now this one is like huge. When I bought it, I thought it was the size of an English pound. Turns out it's the size of I don't know, about 10 English pounds, and it's just got peanuts on it. No changes to the actual note style itself. The note is a normal banknote. They've taken off the signature of the chief cashier, which logically would have been Page. But yeah, just a bit of fun. Now this one says this is a novelty, and it is. It's a novelty. It's a piece of paper, £1, looks like a Bank of England pound, and it is just a novelty. They obviously produced it for something, but made it clear that it wasn't a real note, which I think was fair. Much fairer than some others. Now, when things look like a Bank of England note, then it's also quite interesting. This one looks like an English £1 note of around the 1800s. This is number one. It's Garden Row Hairdressers of 1804. And people, there quite a few skit notes turn up for manufacturers and companies or hairdressers or tailors. And this one's Richard's Perfumier Hairdresser and Ornamental Hair Manufacturer, number one, London Road, near the Elephant and Castle, and the Manufactory Garden Road, fashion signed, and entered taste. So quite cool that it looks like a sort of Hayes pound. Now, Pluckington Bank, 1819. I promised to pay Mr. John Tump or bearer on demand the sum of can't read it, for value received for the governors of the Bank of Mud, Pluckington and Co. Now, you'd say, well, Pluckington, are they just trying to take the mick out of a bank, of a name? But in fact, Mud Pluckington Bank is a real place near Liverpool. It may not exist anymore, I don't know, but at one time there was a Mud Pluckington Bank, but it wasn't a real bank, it was a riverside piece, a riverside bank. So again, in the style of a pound, And I don't really know why. Maybe they were trying to raise money to do some works on the mud plains there. So this one's a £5 please note. It's obviously to do with a show, and that's really all it is. It says you might pay £5, visit London's greatest view, and then you may not enjoy it. It's a bit of a negative, but anyway, it's a £5. It's a big piece, like the size of a white fiver. This one's a larger piece, Bank of Mudros, United Kingdom of Lemnos, Imbros and Tenedos, from 1918. So not a bit of a style of a £5 note. But this one's more in the style of a £5 note because they've headed it the Bank of England. May have plenty of £5 notes, but all for fun, have more laughs than any other show. Now, this is an Argyll-Enser unit, and the Argyll-Enser unit would have been an entertainment unit. Obviously up in Scotland, Argyll, I presume, signed by George L. Taylor, the manager. So obviously a show somewhere. Okay. This one, this white fiver looking note, I mean, it almost looks like it's got the watermark of a white fiver, dated 1901. It was actually an advert for cigars. Interestingly, it's got Cigarren Bank of England, Cigarettes Bank of England. So it's in not only in English, it's in a foreign language as well. So, but 1901, and really, really in the style of an English £5 note. So. Keeping with fivers, Bank of Funland promised to pay the bearer on demand for the sum of £5. 1956 October 2nd, London to October 1956 for the love and company of the Bank of Funland. Robin Banks, chief cashier. So I think he means he's robbing the banks. That's someone. Bank of Keith. Now, if you're called Keith and you're an electrician, this is really the one you need to own. Pay to the bearer, 94635, the sum of £5, 1908. We actually had a few of these, and we were working with someone called Keith. And I said, I've got these notes called Keith. And he said, I'll have one. But fixture and electrical work, just in the style of a Bank of England fiver, almost. But this one is also, again, in the style of the Bank of England £5, but the National Cooperative Bank. Subject to the conditions endorsed hereon. Well, the whole back of it's got all these conditions on the back, and no, I haven't read them. Just again, a bit of fun. But for £100, now you do get Bank of Elegance on the very early, the 1800s type skit notes, but this is the Bank of Elegant engraving. I promised to pay the bearer the sum of £100. If it can be proved to my satisfaction that there is any exhibition combining such unequalled productions of nature and art as the Crystal Palace and Park, Sydenham, 1854. I believe it's contemporary, the period. Quite a nice piece. And a bit more colour. The style of the Lion and Key £5, the Bank of Galeries. I don't know who they are. What looks like sort of foxing on it are actually dots, and obviously this is Theatre Royal in Brussels, and they must have taken some paper, got the banknote itself, and then imposed other pictures upon it and information. So, but the Fullers pub decided they would have the Bank of London and give you £5 off a meal for two in January and February 2009 at the Victoria. We don't get many things in the style of Lion and Key fives. But Mr. Dibbs didn't go away. Joseph Henry Dibbs, he actually had a £5 made to match his £1, for which this will match the second type. Again, no reason. Don't know who he is, why he did it. Advertising something. Bank of Britain, in the style of a 10 shilling. Obviously, this was somebody's birthday, and they've created not only a 10 shilling, but £1 as well. So 30 bob, £1.50. Price of my first banknote that I bought, that I borrowed. This was obviously somebody's birthday, and they've even put the tiara on her, but it's not Queen Elizabeth II, it's somebody else. We don't know who. But if you're a party company, advertise £500. We don't know what they're going to give £500 for. It doesn't say. Taken a total rip off of the £5 gill. And obviously it's just some promotion that they're running. I don't think I've got that one here. I've got that one here. Yeah, they do different colours in this one, and they do £100 note as well. But on a £10 note, this one looks very austere. It's a £15 note, not a 10. And when you're preparing something, you might use Latin words to take up the space, especially when you're producing a website or something. So BJ Clough signed it, but we don't know why or for what reason. But obviously it's for something. We don't know what the 15 units are. It could have been alcohol. Now, for those of us who are English, loads of money. Harry Enfield, loads of money, had his own dosh banknote in the style of a £10 note, arm over the Queen, and he's holding loads of money. Obviously, this was to promote him as a comedian. So, a little bit with a real photograph of someone, I believe is a real photograph, Bank of Formosa, to give them £10 off the treatment that they were having. And obviously a promotion using a £10 note. But a military one, 10% of your taxes. I'm forced to pay 10% of my taxes. This one is in the style of a sort of a brochure rather than a banknote. But again, in the style of sort of a Kentfield new style £10 note. Bank of Cheatwell. We promise not to pay a sausage, £20. PP, the most honourable governor and company of Cheatwell Games, Fred the Cleaner signed it. Purveyor of games, I believe this is a games company who are promoting their games. Cheatwell Games sounds a bit weird, but yeah, why not? £1 million in the style of, I don't know, £1 million. The Bank of Being, I happily received the sum of £1 million. Now, this, I think, came with a book. What's wrong with the book, William? I think it came with a book. We think, we can't remember now.
Tommy Steele came with a book.
Tommy Steele came with a book. But this one, anyway, we're not really sure with this one. But if you want £1 million, that's how you get it. Bank of Chelsea. Now, if you're a footballing player, this one is, find that for me somewhere. There's a Bank of Chelsea. And then you also get £500 Bank of Wembley. So maybe they were done for football reasons, maybe not. This one's a £50 Bank Robbers Music. Bank Robbers, I believe they were a band, and I believe they use this for their promotion. Politics, £150 Lamont note, a gas guzzling car, obviously there in the second. Company car subsidy. I currently pay each year a company car subsidy of £150. It's signed Chancellor of the Exchequer, Greenpeace. But yeah, it's brown as if it were a 20. Well, I think it's meant to be sort of a mauve colour, so in style of a £20 Ford, but it's actually sort of more brown, as it were. Not Mr. Brown, but brown. And on the back, I can't read that figure. The subsidy to the company car costs the nation more than £3,000,000 per year. So that equates to £150 per person. So they say. And believe it or not, we had a Brexit note. Jacob Rees-Mogg, referred to as Johnson Goof and Rees-Mogg, the Imperial Bank of Brexit 2016. It says, I promise to pay myself more than you. It's a 50 guinea. And in the centre, the picture behind or in front of Jacob's face is really more on the style of a Crookshank parody. So it is, in fact, Gin Lane, Hogarth of 1751. So obviously in the times when Jim was Mother's Ruin, this is one of his more famous pieces by Hogarth. The Monster Raving Loony Party, well, you think they don't exist, they do. This one's signed by Lord Such, a pound Bank of Loony Land, and actually it's Margaret Thatcher's face on there, not the Queen. So a little £1 piece. In fact, it's not even small, it's really quite big for a pound note. Okay. Over to America, President Bush on the back of our £5 here. This is more a sort of brochure style piece. But interestingly, the battle is no longer the Battle of Donoro Fuentes. I might have said it wrong, but we've got indigenous Indians and military and others, and a bit of cacti and a bit of what looks like the Grand Canyon. And my last one, the Bank on Dodgy. This is Bob. Who would ever forget Bob Hope? Such a funny comedian, a very nice man. This is Boston Fox for Dodgy and the people of the land of England, rolling chief sniffing ball. It's just a funny piece. And it says, I promise to pay the bearer on demand 1 bottle of beer, 1 pint of beer, or 1 glass of wine. So that's almost really what you'd say over to Jonathan, because he's having a glass of wine. And although I do have some more skit notes, silly notes and silly stuff, these are some of my favorites, and we thought we would share these ones with you as a quick stand-in talk for tonight. So that's me. I'm finished. Thank you.